Welcome everyone to this week's not community call, because if you're used to these community events and you haven't been around for a long time, then you probably haven't ever seen a NIM operator town hall. This is one of those very exciting times. There's a bunch of things happening on the operator front that we wanted to share with you guys. And for that, I have with me a big chunk of the NIM team, actually. So I'll just go in the order of appearance on the screen. To my right, there's Hux, aka Daniel, who's head of product. How's it going, Hux? Also, Mark is back for another round, who's the CTO of NIM. How's it going, Mark? And of course, someone who if you've been around, you already know quite a bit, Claudia, who's a returning guest on these calls. How's it going, Claudia? The chief scientist of NIM. And then, of course, Jaya, another returning guest, our CSO, chief strategy officer, and also Serinko from our DevRel team, also a returning guest. All right, so I've been, sorry to say, Ray, because Ray was missing me. I miss you too, but I've been sidelined for this. So basically, I'm just doing the intro. I'm going to pass the mic to Jaya in a second. Today, we're going to talk about something that has been brewing for quite some time internally at NIM, which is node families, which is a very exciting update, both for node operators and also for the users of the NIM network. It's supposed to make everything significantly more secure. So we're going to learn about that today. And a bunch of other info that comes with that as well. But without wasting any time, I'm going to pass the mic to Jaya. But before that, sorry, I have to still mention that there's going to be a Q&A at the end, as usual. So if you have any questions to any of the participants, then make sure to leave those in chat, and we're going to pick them up at the end of the call. All right, Jaya, take it away.
Thanks so much, Sudo, and sorry for squatting your session. But yeah, the previous operator town halls have been on Jitsi, but Sudo and Sal have put together such a fancy infrastructure for these sorts of calls. So we're hijacking it and we're using it for a little bit of communication out to our operator community today, and also to the wider community. So maybe we can bring up the slides. Yep. Yes, so operator town hall, I think it's been quite a few months since we had the previous one, so we're a bit overdue a small update. The main focus of this operator town hall, as Sudo said, is however to introduce a kind of important technical update for our operator community, and kind of give a little bit of an insight into how it's going to roll out and what that means if you're operating a node in the NIM network. So this is what the kind of next hour or so is going to look like. I'm going to do just quick 3 minutes. Then we're going to go through a little bit of a retrospective by Serinko on the evolution of the NIM operator community before we get to the technical nitty-gritty by Claudia. And Mark, who's going to talk about the implementation of node families. And then we have a bit of a demo for you already, which is exciting. Some UIs to kind of give a bit more meat to the bone on what node families actually look like and mean in terms of implementing from the operator side. So quickly before I hand over to the rest of the team, I thought it was worth kind of addressing, first of all, kind of elephant in the room. Obviously, we're going through a really rough patch in the team, in the community, in the operator community, in terms of the performance of the token right now. That's something that we've been dealing with for a number of months already, and it's kind of a little bit of a symptom of broader difficulties in crypto markets, but in our case also, the more explicit consequences of some rogue investors that are dumping, and kind of bigger picture, what's more of a kind of change of guard in our investor community. So, we're working very hard in the background to bring in some new investors that really want to kind of help us take NIM to the next phase. And we're doing that at the same time as we're obviously, plugging along, chugging along at our roadmap. So just a quick kind of big picture look at how far we've come so far this year. So this was the roadmap that we published beginning of the year. And, we've kind of completed a number of our milestones, which is really great. We've got some wallet integrations, some that are in progress, and Edge Wallet has obviously already come through. And then we have some pretty major, updates coming out in the next release of the NymVPN. Obviously, we've seen Lewis protocol already being kickstarted with post-quantum keys coming out in the previous release. And then we have, a number of other really good things coming up, including advances in split tunneling and ad blocks. So, in general, we're making good progress on the roadmap. And we're hoping that the kind of technical improvements that we're making is going to also help really pull the token crisis out of its current kind of impasse and propel us into the next phase. So that's kind of a little bit big picture, a bit of a reminder that we are working hard on the technical side and on revamping the kind of investor group. And that's all happening in the background. So I know we don't, talk necessarily too much about that in the public, but that's a bit the update here. And with that quick kind of big picture, I would like to hand over to Claudia, who's going to get into the node family scheme. No, sorry, we're going into Serinko first. We're going to talk a bit about the evolution of our network so far. Serinko, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Hey everyone, again, it's great to be back in the town hall. Me and Jai have been talking about it for quite a while when we're gonna come finally back to the community, to YouTube, and share a bit about the things which I'm gonna let for Claudia, Mark, and Hux and others. But I would like to come a little bit to talking about how our community, the technical community, the operators, been doing. You've probably been watching the growth of nodes in your VPNs. If you are a user or generally in a network as operators tend to monitor the network a little bit closer. And there's been also a shift into NIM improvement proposals, where we've had 11 proposals now being fully governed by the operators of the nodes, of the operators of the NIM network, right? That changes the exit policy, that changes the governance. Generally, the governance rules and how the protocol looks like is getting more and more into the hands of these operators. But what we don't talk about so much often, and I would like to focus on a little bit, touch upon today, is the fact how there's been kind of organic professionalization of the technical community. I've been running this little, you can look in the Explorer. Spectre has a nice decentralization tab, and if you like just have it in a terminal, I wrote this little just like a script, which returns me quickly the number of entities by the number of nodes they hold and control, and in how many countries they're distributed. And I've been actually surprised because there was a downside on some provider a few days ago, and despite of that, we've been having 23 entities in NIM we usually call squads.
Sorry, Serinko, I have to stop you for a second. It looks like for some reason our viewers can't see the slide deck, so let's fix that before moving forward.
All right.
So let's try maybe this. There is going to be a bit of delay. I switched views now, ladies and gentlemen. Can you please let us know in chat if you can now see the slide deck or no? It looks like something broke in our setup. If all else fails, we can share the presentation with you in a link. Let's try a few other views and see if that fixes the issue. No, still no. Okay, how about if I switch back to this view and then bring the slides back up? We'll also try to re-upload the deck. This would only take a minute, ladies and gents. Just bear with us. Sorry for the hiccup.
It works on my computer.
Works on my machine. Yeah, same here. But this never happened before, by the way. Slide decks always worked, so it's very strange. Never saw this behavior before. Just 1 second while we're getting the deck and uploading it. And until then, you can look at us in our full beauty. How do you like my background, Serinko?
It's nice. It's a little bit more realistic than mine, but It's a different taste.
Way more real.
Way more real.
No, but yours is actually nice too.
I've been seeing some uploads there. Let's see what's going to happen.
Yes. Let's see if this was already added to the slides. All right, now it's been re-uploaded. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen, if you can see it. We're gonna wait for your responses in chat. There is a bit of delay, by the way, between chat and the live stream, so that's why. No, still the same. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, we will probably have to share the deck with you, and you will have to follow along. Sorry, ladies and gents, we were not prepared for this. This never happened before.
That's the very description of errors, right?
Yes, exactly. So let me open up this deck. Or actually, Hux is saying something good for once, which is to share my screen. That will definitely work. All right, share screen. Yes, here we go. Going forward, please say next slide when you wanna move slides, and hopefully this will work. Apologies for the interlude, everyone.
You can probably go full screen, but all right, let's go. Where had we been? I'll blast through it real quickly. Chair also came to the room. Hello, Chair.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, I'm guessing a lot of the things I was saying didn't make much sense if people couldn't see the roadmap slide that I was showing. Anyway, maybe we can share some of this with the community afterwards. We can share the deck.
So back to what I wanted to point out is that the community is being organically professionalizing itself and going into entities, which we usually call squads, be that whatever type of entities, DAOs, collectives, a bunch of friends, or professional kind of like company running nodes together. So when I ran that through the little code I sent you, I came to surprise, because despite having a little bit downside due to one provider falling down, I came to the realization that if I look on entities having 5 and more nodes controlling, this is sorted according to host name, provided that that's the people who's got the the access to the register. There's 23 of them, so there's 23 squads running 5 and more nodes in a network, which is 47% of the entire network. So it's just kind of like a preamp to what we're gonna be talking about, because that dynamic has been already existing. Next slide, please. People have been kind of like naturally figuring out that there are advantages running these things in coordinated group, in coordinated collective or organization, and organize their work to have bigger effectivity and efficiency, right? That you can distribute between your members the tasks. Maybe somebody is taking care of more of documentation, somebody is doing the administration of the landing pages, the nice graphics or something. Somebody communicates in the forum, so you don't have to be all at the same place. There is also a greater knowledge base sharing. You can guide each other, you can grow together, you can guide, and response to the new operators can be a great example, which is happening in the community as well. But furthermore, if you get a squad, you got entity which holds bigger stake of a network, but especially when you have more of those, it's not centralized, there is growing reputation. And all of you who've been around in this competitive environment, it's pretty difficult to make trusted brand for whatever you're doing. Incomparably how easy it is to lose that. And last but not least, next slide, please, is the scaling. As the network is growing, some operators are like, why wouldn't we run more nodes? But eventually it becomes, it takes some time. And if I want to run 10 times more nodes, it's gonna take me 10 times more time if I would be linear or on like a linear scale logic of thinking. And therefore, we started to, together with the operators, be looking a lot into what scaling means, how the leveling up the game would look like, right? And there is two major points which people have been already doing, and that's virtualization of their own nodes, of their own servers. So people would buy dedicated server or even bare metal and virtualize it themselves, which we have documentation for. I'm gonna paste the link here. Yeah, publish it, please. That increase your ownership, tweaks, and all the adjustment of the server, and put complete control in your hands. But it's more cost efficient when it comes to $1 per bandwidth and per memory and what have you. And secondly, the orchestration by Ansible, and it's something I just want like everyone to really look into. If you're running 3 or 5 and more nodes, maybe let's take 5 as the reference since I started with the number. It is a bit of a steep learning curve in the beginning, but then you realize you have this one tool which rules overall, right? You have your node and server state is in consistent. It has a consistent state across all the servers you have, especially if you use the same system and everything. And you deploy, you upgrade, you bond, or you mitigate some vulnerabilities, what have you, everything through one command. You simply run a command Ansible playbook, run a playbook, or point to a subset of nodes, or just use a particular tag, and hooray, there you go. So this is kind of just like a little intro to say how we got now, without even thinking of what Claudia, Mark, and Hux is going to be talking about right now, to kind of put it in a little perspective, because this is already kind of a place where we arrived due to like a natural exploration and a growth of a network from a few nodes, which it's been a few years ago, to 750 nodes, which the network looks like now. I'm passing to Claudia, I believe, with that one. Sorry, I thought it was a given.
Hi, everyone. So next slide. Yeah, so I'll be talking a little bit about the how we're going to address people running multiple nodes with node family declarations. So yeah, next slide. Yeah, so I mean, the core value proposition of NIM is basically decentralization. And the idea is that network privacy is provided basically by routing the traffic through multiple independent intermediaries, right? In the case of the WireGuard mode, this is the entry and exit, so 2 entities. In the case of the mixnet mode, this is 5 entities, because there is like the 3 layers of mixed nodes between the entry and the exit, as you see in the picture top. And the idea is that because you have your communication is going through all these different intermediaries, no single intermediary is able to see the full path from source to destination, and therefore find out who is talking to whom, so joining the source and destination of a communication. Now, if you have multiple intermediaries, but all these intermediaries are controlled by the same operator, or maybe they are not controlled by the same operator, but they are visible towards the same local adversary, then these benefits of decentralization are lost, in the sense that you basically revert to what would be like a centralized VPN, where you have like one intermediary, even though it's multiple, is logically one, because it's the same entity controlling all of them, right? So then that would negate the benefits of decentralization and reduce the security of the routing to a centralized VPN. And I want to emphasize routing, because there's many other features of the NIM network that would still provide additional protection compared to a normal centralized VPN, namely the ZK NIMs and the fact that it's unlinkable, the usage over multiple sessions, that the payment is unlinkable to the usage, and all of that. All of that would remain, but the kind of source destination linkage would no longer require collusion, because you have only one entity as is the case for a centralized VPN. So next slide, please. So yeah, so currently, even though there are many, as Serinko just mentioned, there are many squads and people that are running more than one node. This is currently this is currently not taken into account when choosing nodes, right? People who run multiple nodes often give them names that are recognizable as being a part of the same family. So they would have, like, the name structure of the node would be such that you could understand that this is the same operator or probably the same operator. So you can actually already, just with those names, you could actually already avoid choosing nodes from the same operator. However, if you choose nodes manually from the same operator, you would receive no warning. They would just connect to them. And when you're selecting countries, the app might actually pick from the countries you have selected nodes that happen to be from the same operator, because this is nowhere at the moment encoded in the system, right? This is not great, because when the operator has both the entry and the exit, they have visibility over the full route, particularly in the two-hop mode, which is the one that is mostly used. And that would enable this operator to join source and destination. They have the full path, so you don't have the benefit of decentralization. And it's not only bad in the sense of it's bad for the bad for the user with respect to a malicious operator, but it's also bad for the operator, because if you have the full route from source to destination, you can also be compelled to provide this information. So you don't want to be in a position where you have this information, because this information might make you a target as well. So you want to not be able to have full path, just like one piece that is kind of meaningless unless you join in with others. In addition to that, different operators sometimes put their nodes in the same hosting provider. So that means that a single hosting provider in two-hop mode would be able to see kind of the source connecting to a node in the hosting provider, an internal connection within the same hosting provider, and then going out to the destination. That would also give this hosting provider kind of visibility over what are the likely input-output connections end-to-end. So that's also not great. Next slide. So what can we do to solve this? So the proposal is to introduce formalized node family declarations. So a node family is basically a set of nodes that is run by the same operator. Could be the same person, it could be the same collective of people that are working together, same organization. This is controlled by a family key, so there will be some cryptographic key that is kind of controlling family membership. And this provides some guarantees. So, for example, no fake family members. Right now, I could run a node, call it expected DAO, and pretend that is one of the nodes from expected DAO, even though it's not, right? So, for example, if there's an operator with the high reputation that everybody trusts, someone can just launch nodes that look like they are from the same family, but they are not. Once we have these families controlled by a cryptographic key, this will not be possible. You will not be able to claim fake family members unless you're really from the family. And then you have, when two nodes are certified as being from the same family, this is kind of cryptographically linked in the sense that you can be sure that these nodes are really controlled by the same person. Now, when two nodes are in different families, this is not an absolute guarantee of independence, because it could be that they are controlled by the same operator and this operator did not declare the family. So we don't have 100% assurance on that, but we do have assurance that if they are from the same family, they are indeed controlled by the same operator. In terms of collocation, we define two nodes as being collocated when they are running in the same hosting provider or ASN, meaning that they are sharing the same infrastructure. Next slide. Thanks. So once we have this kind of collocation, which is already available in the node descriptors, the information that is needed, and also these families that are being added, then we can have exclusion rules when choosing an entry and exit gateway, right? So there's two basic rules. The entry and exit of a single connection must not belong to the same family. Okay, so they must, if your entry belongs to a family, you should not pick an exit from the same family. You should pick an exit from a different family. And entry and exit gateways of a connection should also not be collocated. That means that they should be in different physical locations, different hosting providers, so that there is no single hosting provider that has visibility over the full path. Okay, so these rules, the idea is that the rules would be respected always in automatic EU selection. So when you select a country, the app will never select entry and exit that are from the same operator, same family, or the same hosting provider, same co-located. When people are choosing manually, it would still be possible to override, because maybe somebody has a very good reason why they want to choose the same operator. Maybe they know these operators personally and they really trust them, or maybe they want to test something, or maybe they want to use the same hosting provider to really minimize latency so that there is almost no propagation latency between entry and exit. People might have their own reasons. So manual override is possible, but of course, after a clear warning that this is kind of doing away with the decentralization properties that you would otherwise have. And this applies to both fast and anonymous modes. So next slide, please. Did we solve all the problems? No, we have significantly, with this, we basically achieve that all these operators that are currently in the network with multiple nodes, they will, by having these family declarations, they will never again be chosen as part of the same connection. So that's reducing increasing decentralization, guaranteeing decentralization, assuming that everybody is playing by the rules. But of course, you could have malicious operators. This is the residual risk, that do not declare all their nodes as a family. Maybe they're running 5 nodes and they declare all of the 5 nodes are independent, or they say, oh, these 4 are from the family, and the 5th one they don't say that is from the family, right? So this is still possible. So if this operator does not declare the nodes as being from the same family, and these nodes are also running in different places, so they are not collocated, it would still be possible that 2 of them are chosen as entry and exit of a user's connection. Now, is there a solution for this? This can be made significantly harder with some form of operator verification and reputation system. So the idea is that operators that are would be able to go through some sort of process where you say, okay, this operator of these 10 nodes is associated with some outside reputation. Like, for example, these are people known in the community, or maybe they are part of like a non-for-profit or some organization or whatever, so that there is like some outside reputation that would suffer if these people are found to be misbehaving, meaning that they would be running nodes secretly that are not declared, or that they would be colluding with some other operator, some other verified operator. So the idea of verification is to introduce some trust in the system and some reputation that basically says, okay, if you're a verified operator, all your nodes are declared and you're not supposed to collude with anybody else. And this would lead to an additional exclusion rule, which is that at least one of the nodes, entry or exit, must be run by a verified operator. It's enough that one of them is run by a verified operator, in the sense that even if the other one would be like someone that is completely anonymous, they would need to have both entry and exit to be able to have the full path. So it's enough that one of them is not colluding for the decentralization to work. If this would be in place, this is something that we are considering for a next iteration. If this would be in place, then even if a malicious adversary has all kinds of nodes and they are not declaring them, as long as they don't get, if they are not verified, which introduces the whole question of how would you get to this verification and what kind of assurances you would have, then this would basically eliminate the risk of anonymous sock puppets being able to to be chosen as entry and exit of a connection. Next slide. I don't know if this is the last one. Yeah. So just to be clear, what is a family and what it is not? So a family is a set of nodes controlled by the same operator. And if you are an operator of multiple nodes, you should declare them all in the same family, and you should never have them in different families. Okay. So node family declarations are introduced for security reasons, not for social purposes. So it's not necessarily a social group. It's not that, I have some friends and then we all join in a family, and this is not the point. The point is that's the same person control the 2 nodes, and if yes, then you don't have a decentralization. If there are different people making decisions independently, then they are different operators and they should not be part of the same family. So a family can be the same as a squad if there is indeed like this centralized this control that all the nodes are controlled by the same entity, by the same organization, by the same decision making. But so yeah, a squad can be a node family, but a node family is not necessarily a squad of a group of friends. It can be like just a single person, a single operator that is running multiple nodes. And a family is a way for reputable operators to certify which nodes are under their control. So if you have a good name in the community and you are running a number of nodes, you will be able to certify that these are really your nodes. And if somebody is trying to use names similar to yours to pretend that they are all their node is also run by you, this will no longer be possible. So that assurance is provided, but of course, the fact of declaring a family is not necessarily a guarantee that the operator is trustworthy, because that's a much bigger question. So I think this is it from my side. Over to next, Hux.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me, see me? Yes, great. Hey guys, nice to be back. So after the sort of theory and the concept rundown, what I want to show you is how this is gonna surface in the wallet. But before I do that, the other bit I want to mention is that most VPN users gonna meet this in its pure technical shape, basically not like all the automated connection algorithms will not surface, entry-exit combination in the same family, or whenever two explicit selection made, there's something like a warning, like you selected two nodes from the same family, do you wish to continue? But all the other magic, and I'm gonna start sharing my screen now, so hopefully, Sal, can you switch to my screen? Let me know if you see it on the Figma, the wallet UI. And I need the yes verbally because I don't see the. Can you see my shared screen? Wallet landing.
See it. We can see it.
Nice. Thank you, Sudo, for for the verbal confirmation. So there is a wallet UI update coming out. Maybe it's already out or very soon. This is a sequential. So next wallet update, what we're already working on, is gonna look a little bit like this. And there's not much change as on the dashboard side. There's only one extra thing that you can see here. Is basically right here on the account summary page. Any wallet holder will have a family summary of their nodes. Right now, this demo is showing that I'm the owner of Alpine Nodes family. It has 4 members. It has 2,400 names bonded, and my node is this one here on the example. Now, there's actually two kind of use cases to consider. Either you're the wallet owner of the family manager or the one who's gonna start the family, in which you're gonna basically start from this empty on a new family tab, and you can start a family, create a family. You can define the family name, which is gonna be Alpine Nodes for the example. We require 100 names to bond to disable spam attacks or to botted families appearing on chain. And once I create this family, I'm gonna be transferred to something like this. And this is a screen which has all the warnings and all sorts of states, so I can demo to you. Of course, the first time when you create a family is gonna be a little bit less crowded. But basically, what you're gonna be able to see here as a family owner is that your status and then all the family member status, right? So since the joining a family is going to be done on an invitation basis to verify that from each wallet, whoever is delegating their node to a family has access to that key. So basically, a family owner can send out invite members based on their node ID here. And once I have that node ID specified, I'm gonna get this small warning that only proceed if this node is under your control directly, or that, you know, with the full awareness that this node is already running and you know who you're sending this invite to. Because once you send this invite, basically a member or a node runner would see a pending family invite, something like this. It's not going to be 48 hours, it's going to be like a more bigger time window, because I think it's just for the demo here. But basically, anyone who receives an invite will see which family is the invite coming from, which are the other nodes who are in the family, and kind of has the option to either accept the invite or decline the invite. Now, even when accepting the invite, it's also important to point out, for if you accept an invite, you know, make sure that you know that you're delegating control, partial control for the time being, of your node to the family, and only proceed if you trust and know this operator, if you're the operator too on the other side. Now, once you've accepted this, maybe, then your node's gonna get into the family list, and but anytime anyone wishes to leave because they're gonna spin up a new node, or they kind of maybe, I don't know, doing some other operations, you can just rage quit basically anytime from the family here. Now, also, of course, if family owners can also kick anyone. Let's say Summit node is not doing well. It used to be a squad member who went AWOL for way too long time, and I really don't want this to degrade our family performance. I'm just kicking the node. Now, of course, families, as they can be created, they can be dissolved, but only such family can be dissolved which has 0 nodes. So I have to kick all the nodes from here, and then I can actually dissolve this family as a family owner. And then there is no family here. Right, so I think I kind of covered everything. I hope this was in a good order. And if there's any questions, happy to answer in the end. And I'm gonna pass it back to Serinko or Mark, if I'm not mistaken. Serinko, it is. Hello.
Is it me? I don't know. Show the next slide and we will see.
Next slide, please.
It might be Mark, actually. Mark hadn't spoken yet. Let's speak, Mark.
Hello, everyone. Not sure we can see the slides, so...
Oh, it is me.
It is Serinko.
All right, on naming, let's go next slide, please. And I'll then make sure that Mark has a lot of room. The name is the mother of 10,000 things. That's kind of my subtitle, or the first code I put here out of many, just to connect the all ancient highlight that, you know, the creation of the nameless being the origin, but then actually everything which became created being the name, and that kind of going all the way to computer science. I have here a bit of Python, a bit of book of coding, and I'm pretty sure that any one of you who's been a little bit around computers have been breaking their head about those hard to things, particularly the one naming things and how naming matters. Next one, please. Thank you. So when we're gonna be creating these families, as I said, there's already many squads, and that means that people have been having experiencing with putting names on their nodes, on the node description. Every node has description now. The family naming will not be the node description. It will be, as Hax was showing, directly in the UX and in the UI for the family. It will be a different endpoint later. So I want you to already start to be thinking about, I'm creating a family, how am I gonna construct that? Let's try ourselves, do the hard job of putting ourselves in the head of a user. I gotta think, I'm the user coming to the VPN application. What is the user gonna be looking like? Because through that, you're building your reputation. So you need to have some clarity, reflect what that name really means, have consistency. So maybe, you know, there's multiple people who can call you to therefore maybe they'll join family together. So how can we be a bit more consistent with also naming of the nodes, and how my family can be a bit more consistent with the names of other families? So it kind of, there's like a bit of a network consistency, because we are decentralized and that brings beauty. But diversity can exist only if there is also unity. Without unity, there is no diversity, right? We need a bit of a brevity, so things can be read like really quickly, direct, and short. They need to be human related, because while machines are really good for reading things written for machines, these user-facing things are for people. And most importantly, maybe, I want us to think how we're building more trust, because let's not be too serious. We have jokes all the time when we come to the AMA, when we come to the to operator chat. We're dropping jokes, emojis, memes all over the place. And I mean, that's internet. It's all about it. But then we also like putting actually things which are coming to the people out there, which know nothing about our circle, which know nothing about our community, and all they see is the name of your family, is the name of your nodes. So there needs to be a bit of a professionalism and maybe tune down a bit of a jargon and the inside jokes, or definitely something offensive. It's not only that it's kind of bad taste, but you gonna lose users before they would ever connect, right? They would see that and be like, how I'm gonna trust this or that name? It's offensive or it's wanna be funny, but I might not connect through that. So you wanna create names which people want to join as users using your nodes, and as others joining your family, if they are your friends, or like take an example from that. And my last slide, please. I think there is still one more. Yeah, I brought a few examples here. Things, again, this is just names of nodes, but something I really like is if it fits. You don't see the last one under I'm actually covering the last one, which are nice names, but they don't fit. Thank you. So you see nodes have amazing operators, but then I open actually the application and I see Indonesia gateway. I can guess it's a gateway, but there's also an index, which on nodes I really like you can see on the other nodes to the left, because the index can help me, like that node worked very well for me, or it didn't, and maybe next time I want to use another one, or was kind of too populated, or what have you. So if the index is there, or if anything in that name is there, and you don't see it, then it's like if it wasn't there, most of the people wouldn't click on that, right? That's the same for the TSDC coin, something I can only imagine what's there. Winlex nodes, Nims taken, really nice one, but also maybe would be nice if there is, the either the location or some index or something. But again, this is just for nodes. What I want to stress, and I found myself as a user I really like, even though it's very short and concise, it's the Kotako home. Because ever I want to use residential IP, instead of looking for it in the UI, I just write to the search home, poop, it's there, I click on it, and I go. The logic for families will be different than the logic for nodes, but I'm just like trying to bring some of these examples on like how to think as users, and how to sometimes like realize what the users see, what they don't see, what might turn them into using your node again, versus what might like make them kind of walk away. All these examples I show here, none of them is bad. Please don't take this. There have been terrible examples in few times, thankfully, and I didn't want to bring them up. But yeah, let's have fun, and sometimes we can even troll each other, but maybe not on an interface for the users where it's also incentivized soon for us to be wanting to have those users putting those credentials on our gateways, which we've been running. That's gonna directly translate into the rewards and into the quality of the network, also bring in more users who might have seen it as a friend, family members, or a colleague at work. Thank you, and finally back to Mark.
Thanks, Serinko. All right, so let's just talk a little bit quickly about how this is going to be implemented. So next slide, please. 3 rough phases. So Hux has shown you what the wallet will look like. So that's where we're going to start there. Operators will be able to declare their node families, add nodes, accept and reject invites, etc. And the algorithm that applies the routing policy is going to be used in gateways initially. So that's just going to say that if you are trying to use the NymVPN app, you won't be able to use gateways that come from either the same operator or if they are in the same ASN. And I'll go into a little bit of detail in that in a moment. Then we'll move on to doing this for mixnode nodes. This is a bit more complicated because we need to change the way that layer selection works. We can't have nodes that are nodes that violate the routing policy. They need to be in the correct layers. And then the last one is to make this fully decentralized. We need to allow anybody to run a geolocation agent if they pass a governance proposal to be added, because there is a blockchains don't really let you do network requests, so we need something to push this geolocation data into some contract state that we can then go and use it. Next slide, please. So what does this routing policy look like? We're really just saying that when nodes have a declared family, we won't let you choose them as an entry and an exit for DVPN mode if they're in the same family. So that's if they don't come from the same operator. And it's maybe also worth saying that it won't be fully enforced. It will be a warning. So, for example, if you run your own family and you trust both your nodes, you're welcome to use them. If they're in the same ASN, so they could be different families, but the same ASN. So there are records of who is using IP ranges on the internet. And the ASN allows us to prevent people accidentally using two nodes that are inside probably the same data center, or at least in the same ISP or cloud provider. And then lastly, are they on the same subnet? So it could just happen. It's like the usual thing, people spin up EC2 instances and they run them in the same availability zone. They're very likely to be on the same subnet. We don't want that to happen. Or if you're using co-located hardware, you don't want to accidentally be on the same subnet and have a problem where there's the ability to spy on traffic that goes in physical networking equipment. So that's sort of the long and the short of it, and this will implement what Claudia described earlier. So back to Sudo.
All right, so for this one, I'm bringing everyone back on screen and removing the deck. Technical issues notwithstanding, hopefully you enjoyed this presentation and learned something as well. Claudia, yes, full house. All right, so thank you for the presentation, folks, and also big thanks for the attention from our audience, and thank you for the great questions as well. We're gonna pick up as many as we have time for. First one is from Jake. Jake asks, will node operators be compelled to group all of their nodes into a family when signing the terms and conditions?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, Jake, in his comment, like a following comment, he said to one of these questions, I don't know which one it was, but the answer was shared right when he asked the question. So sorry if I'm doubling some info that was already shared during the presentation. That was a quick answer. Thank you, Jaya. Next one is also from Jake. I imagine that laziness would be the biggest threat to clear groupings of nodes into families. How can we incentivize operators to do the work of linking their nodes into a family? Claudia, maybe this is, or Jaya?
No, it's a great question, and there's a few different incentives, and one of them definitely I would like Claudia to discuss a little bit more. It touches on a topic that we were thinking to partially introduce in this town hall, but it felt like a little bit going overboard, and that is ticket-based rewarding, which we have talked a bit about before. But there's, of course, other ways to incentivize also that have to do with UI and just making sure that everything is like really easy to manage. And kind of following on from the great node orchestration work that Serinko has been doing with the community already, we do know that a lot of people are running multiple nodes, and if we can add a layer that makes it easier to run multiple nodes while also declaring a node family, we're hoping that that can be a soft nudge. But in terms of the more kind of concrete incentives when it comes to rewarding, Claudia, do you want to say a few words on that?
Yeah, so this will have some interactions with the ticket-based rewarding, which I guess people are familiar with the concept, which is that basically gateways will be collecting the tickets from the users they serve, and then they will be rewarded on the basis of those tickets. Now, the rewards are proportional to the amount of tickets that a gateway is getting, but they are capped by the amount of stake that the gateway has. So a gateway with small stake will be able to fully cache a few tickets, but at some point it maxes out and additional tickets do not bring additional revenue until this gateway is raising the staking cap so that more tickets can be rewarded. Now, if you have a family, what we can the plan is that the stake of the full family will act as a global cap. So imagine you have two gateways and one is getting a lot of tickets and the other one is not getting so many tickets. By having them as part of the same family, you will be able to get fully rewarded for all the tickets, while if you have these two as separate families, maybe you are capped on the one that has a lot of tickets and then you're getting fewer rewards. So there is like some good interactions with the ticket-based rewarding that can be kind of used to further incentivize, although I agree with Yaya that having a nice interface for people who manage multiple nodes in order to be able to do it in a convenient way is probably the best antidote against the laziness problem.
Thank you for that answer. Next up, and also thanks for the great questions, Jake. Next up, I'm actually gonna correct one of my mistakes. I forgot to mention that you can also leave your questions on our Matrix channel to preserve your privacy and not have to log in with your YouTube account. So if you want to ask us any questions, then you can drop it on the general chat of the NYM Matrix server. So this is a question from Matrix. And the question is the following: can the node family flow we're demonstrating be done using a command line CLI tool instead of the NYM wallet app? This user's macOS version is too old to run the latest version of NYM wallet. I think this one is for you, Hux, or no, actually maybe you, Mark. Go ahead.
No, I can answer that. So do we definitely want this to be something that people can automate? Because if you've got lots of nodes, it's going to be very difficult clicking through everything. And Serinko and Hux already have plans afoot to put that into some of the automation tools that many of you will be familiar with already. It'll definitely be in the NYM CLI.
Excellent. Thank you for the question, and thanks for the answer as well. Next one is from Mark Lee Ambrosio. Is the NYM delegations program still open for new node operators? I guess this one is for you, Serinko, as the owner of the program.
Yes, welcome. Mark Lee Ambrosio, we would be happy to welcome you to NYM delegation family. Please share a link in a chat now so the operator can and other operators can go there directly and apply. There's also rules in that link, so we would be happy to see you around. Make sure you join the chats and hang out with us with the community, where we can be a little bit less serious than what I was presenting about the naming.
All right, excellent. Maybe if you could drop, while I'm asking the next question, a link to the docs page of the delegations program, and then we can share it with the community. Thank you, and also thanks for the great question. Next one is from Rocio. Is the family structured by squad or by multi-node operator? And then also I will add her next question to this, which is, can a squad have multiple families? Maybe for you, Jaya.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the slide. I think we did have that slide up of what node families are and what they're not. So node families are not exactly the same thing as a squad. So if your squad is basically a bunch of friends who come together and share a few tips on how to kind of run things, that's fine. You can have multiple families. Each of you are an independent operator with your own keys running nodes, and you effectively control the nodes that you control. But if the squad runs nodes collectively, meaning you all have access to the keys, and you all control those nodes, or you're running it as a multisig, or you're running a kind of proper DAO with a multisig, then the situation is slightly different. And then in that case, no, you shouldn't be having multiple families. So the way to think about it is, do you control the nodes? If yes, it's a family. And who you are, it might be a group or it might be an individual.
All right. Hopefully that answers that. Thank you for the. Oh,
Yes,
sorry. Go ahead.
basically, are they operationally independent? This is the key question.
Yeah.
But there was also like a small tease there, feature tease, because the word multisig was dropped by Jaya, not by me. So, like if you listen good enough, like
we can all dream, right?
No, but I think that's really important and great to point out that this schema that we're applying now is going to enable real DAO-like functioning on the NIM network between node operators. So actually, we're planning to introduce multisig, so you can have real resilient DAOs, collectively deciding on, actions over keys. And that way, this would seamlessly work together with the family declaration model that we're implementing now. So I think that's great and really forward-looking.
Excellent. Thank you for that quick alpha drop. When can we see it? WEN?
You know the answer, Sudo. It's
soon TM. I just wanted to tease it out. All right. Thank you for the great question and also the answer. Next one is also from Matrix and also from Oceanus. They asked the previous question as well. And it goes, one more question from Matrix. Oceanus, can governance voting use a family-based model instead of voting one node at a time? This is a good one. This is more like a feature request, maybe?
Cool idea, I think.
Yes.
I mean, this is what we're doing these events for. So I think this is great input, and absolutely yes, why not? I mean, that's like proper, delegated democracy in a way. I think that's great, and great that it's not coming from us because we just had to say yes. So yeah, Claudia, go.
I have we need to be careful to not disincentivize people from declaring families. If I'm gonna go from 10 votes to 1, maybe that's a downside. So if we're going to do something like that, then maybe family size needs to have some sort of weight.
Yeah, or stake-based or something.
Yeah, or stake-based, that the total stake of the family is taken into account.
We would still keep them. We would still keep the one. Or like the stake-based model that we currently have, right? So in that case, it's actually a major incentive for people because the current voting setup is a bit cumbersome for those who run a lot of nodes. So if you could just they could just vote all at once, I think that would be maybe an actual incentive. Thank you for the great question, an actual like low-key hidden feature request. Moving on to the next one. This one is also from Rocio. Question, by maintaining a registry of operators for verification and reputation checks, how will this guarantee their anonymity?
So if you kind of looked carefully at the presentation, the first phase of node families is not going to include verification. Basically, we're trying to keep it kind of very simple to start off. It's literally just, operators declare families. The client can actually check, whether you're in a family or not, or whether you're in the same ASN or not, in order to, modify what gateways are available. However, and that's basically to say that like the verification process is still something that we're kind of working out the nitty-gritty around. So Claudia, if you do want to interrupt me at any point, do just
interrupt. I want to say that you can still have pseudonymous reputation, right?
Exactly. So that's the point.
So your reputation might be tied to, for example, a Telegram account that you use, and maybe nobody knows your real name, but there is reputation attached, and everybody knows that whatever this name in Telegram is the one operating these nodes, and then the reputation of that is attached to the pseudonym would be transferred to the kind of the nodes operated by that verified operator. So verification does not mean identity check. It means a linkage to some outside source of reputation. This can be identification. For example, if you would have a legal entity like a company or a non-for-profit running nodes, then indeed this verification would be like, yeah, really these people are the ones running these nodes and not like some imposter pretending to be them, right? But the same applies to pseudonymous operators. in the sense that you would still do the same verification to say like, yeah, these nodes are the ones run by whatever, this name in Telegram, and not some imposter pretending to be this person, right? So yeah, it's not about identification. It's about there is some form of reputation outside of the operations themselves that means that this person has some stake, something to lose if they are found to be misbehaving, right?
Some
So
skin
that,
in the game.
exactly, some skin in the game. That, I mean, maybe they would lose their following in some social account or whatever if they are found to be cheating, right? So it's not necessarily about, I mean, you cannot be fully anonymous, but you can be pseudonymous, because fully anonymous means that you would not have an identity, even, you know, you would just be a different person every time. So that with that, you cannot really work for building reputation.
And linking that back to kind of Oceanus's question earlier also, we are looking at kind of that pseudonymous tier to potentially kind of have some community voting as part of the verification process as well. So verification might also look, you know, fairly decentralized and as part of kind of the existing operator community that's been with us for a long time, and partially stake-based. So yeah, it's not going to be, you know, fully, you know, full identity checks in the way that you're concerned about, Rocio.
All right, thank you for those answers, and thanks for another great question, Rocio. Next one is also from Jake. How can we prevent a family key from claiming ownership of someone else's node? Will the node have to sign the membership claim for it to take effect? Great question.
Yeah, I can answer that. So yes, you will have to confirm. So it can't be that people can bring your node into a family if you don't want that to happen. And then, you know, as Hux showed you as well, it's possible to leave as well later should you want to as the node operator per node.
That said, be very careful when you accept invite. You know, like make sure that you know what you do when you do this, because this is, you know, on chain action, and as such is eternally on the chain. You can still exit, but it's yeah.
Don't accept candy from unknown node operators, node family owners. Okay. All right. Thanks for that answer. And then lastly, a bit of unrelated, but I think great question from Ronnie. Apologies if this is off topic, but is there an update as to when split tunneling will be available for iOS devices? Maybe this one is for you, Mark, no?
Yes, good question. So iOS is really difficult for this. So unfortunately, it's going to be the last one that we get to do. You know, in the meantime, there are some options, and maybe you actually want to look at some of the geo-exclusion work that's coming out in one of the future releases. That might actually be something that could do what you need. Yeah, it's very difficult with iOS. The sandbox is very tight. It doesn't let you know which apps are running. It's really the most difficult one to do there. Apps that do it do pretty shady things, like they try and open special deep links to applications that they think you might have to identify them. You know, so we've got to be pretty careful about how we do this in a way that it's done right.
Thanks for that answer. My understanding is that very few VPNs actually do split tunneling on iOS, right? It's that difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a soon TM, Ronnie. Sorry, we had to crack another soon TM, but we're working on it.
But this is something that we actually been working a lot in the recent weeks. So this is not something that, you know, we push aside. This has been super active development and trying to solutionize. And the fact of the matter is it's hard to do. So just hang in there a bit more. This has been really want this to be out in the iOS too.
Thank you for that answer. Go ahead, Jaya.
No, I was just going to say, I think we're coming up to time, but this was just obviously a first sneak peek of node families. I think this is probably the first that operators really hear about it. There's been a little bit of talk in the forum, but we will put out some written material so you can kind of like take your time to really kind of think it through. And obviously all the channels are open as usual on Matrix, Telegram, in the forum if you have any additional questions, and Serinko will be continuing with the regular AMAs to also kind of deep dive on as we get closer to rolling it all out. So yeah, thanks everyone.
There is still one more question and the wrap up to go, boss. Don't get ahead of yourself. So the last question is from Ginny. Will the NIM team start their own official node family?
We already are a node family.
Very good. Serinko with the press-ready responses right there. Okay.
More than nodes, no?
we gotta be testing things on mainnet, not as let's test it on mainnet, but as let's test it on mainnet. We need nodes, and then to play with the same rules, we'll put them to the family. There is nothing non-transparent about that. You can find the nymted.ch nodes. Those are our testing nodes on the mainnet, because Sandbox can never mitigate the same numbers like decentralized 150 nodes spread mainnet. So we have nodes, and we'll bond them to the family as one of those. If you're gonna all accept us, we will be one of that as well.
All right, excellent. And on that note, I've been meaning to set up, just to learn about how to set up a node. I'm not a very technical person, but maybe I will set up a node and create a bunch of nodes and then create a node family. No promises there, though. It's not even a soon TM. It's a maybe soon TM. So don't take that as a promise. But you can pressure me on chats, and maybe then I'll end up doing it. All right, and that was our last question for today. So big thanks to all of our presenters for being here. Any closing remarks from any of you, which maybe get left out from the presentation?
Naming's really hard, and I really suck at it, so don't rush it. Now you have this alpha, so think about it up front, so you're not gonna end up like me, my commits, and a bunch of the things I'm writing, because then it's too late. It's forever in that Git. So on chain is even worse. Think about that.
My last thought is that I've been just remembering when squads became a thing like 2-3 years ago. 2 years ago, Shipyard Academy, squad league first, so compared to that, we came a super long way, and the network has matured a lot, and this is now also like a maturing point, and I think it's just really great to see that now it's growing up, and we have to be really careful how we name us and how we declare who we belong to, and I think it's great. It's nice to see. And thank you all for for our listeners and the node operators community for being here with us, because this is actually the thing that you did. We just prepared the grounds and kind of maintaining this garden, but you are the ones running this network. So thank you all, and yeah.
All right, and that really brings us to the end of this call, I guess, unless Jaya took a deep breath to say something.
No, I was just going to say I can't top the comments by Serinko and Hux.
All right, so let's leave it there.
The community, that's all. Yeah.
I will have to do my closing, though. Unfortunately, I have bad news for you, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have, for the first time ever since we introduced POAPs for NIM community calls, today we don't have one, as the site that we use behind our POAP claiming mechanism is broken, and we weren't able to fix it. So sorry for that. Maybe we can fix this by giving you 2 POAPs next community call. I'm not sure yet, but we're going to rectify it in some way. That's one thing. And the other thing is also just tangentially related, but I wanted to bring you something new. I'm going to send it in chat now. We've just started a survey about a NymVPN subscription resale model. This is something that we are thinking about or considering launching. Nothing is for sure yet, but this is a survey that may be interesting to you. So if you run nodes and maybe you have your own website or anything like that, you may be interested in reselling NymVPN subscriptions if we end up launching this. And to basically get ideas from you and understand better, like how would you want a feature like this to work, we created a survey. A link to it was dropped in chat, and we will also share it all across our socials. Please fill it out so we can get a better understanding of what your needs would be if we ended up launching this service, whether you're interested or not. There's a lot of good questions there, and it would help us greatly. And maybe we could work together in this capacity as well in the future. With all of that said, I'm going to wrap up here. Big thanks everyone for joining us. Also, big thanks to the presenters. If you have any questions or concerns about any of the stuff discussed, then you can reach us on any of our various community channels. Have a great day, everyone, and see you around. Bye.